This is why no one can convince anyone of anything, and why people, Trump supporters and non-Trump supporters, live in two different worlds.
We can debate January 6th. I don't think it will be very productive because I don't think, I think at the end of the day, my difference from you will come down to a kind of theory of mind, an unknowable thing, which is Trump's intention and whether, how he intended that day to go down. I really don't think we're going to agree on that. Can I go back to the policy thing though? Because I think it's really important.
You can. Yeah, we can go back to that if you want, but it will come back here because I think this is everything.
I've been meaning to respond to this because I saw it and I'm like, you know what? I'm not even gonna look at it. I'm just gonna keep going.
But I scheduled a debate with him over that same topic, and then he messaged me like 2 days later and said like, hey, I actually don't really disagree with you that much. And then it turned out that he actually didn't end up voting for Trump and that he joined my server, and now he's like,
there's no way he's talking about me. Wait, there's no way he's talking about me.
He would say no, and it was okay with this whole thing is mute and pointless.
yeah, the problem is that, and
Okay, so the guy lied, and I already mentioned this, so I'm just gonna keep going.
sensed this at the beginning, and it was kind of like a sigh moment, but the problem...
You sensed this in the beginning? I literally told you in the beginning. You know what? I'm gonna find my video right now.
So he tried to break the connection between Giuliani and Trump, so he was like, okay, just because Giuliani said he was knowingly lying, that doesn't mean Trump knew that he was knowingly lying, which is like obviously on its face.
No. I know what he's talking about. Timeline makes... I asked him specifically the Giuliani thing. Like, Giuliani got... Before the January 6th speech, he was espouting something that could have possibly been of disinformation. One of those people said something that was disinformation, but it wasn't proven as disinformation until after January 6th.
Wick, look at the DMs she posted. I'm not going to go over the leaked DMs on screen. I've looked at them though.
Oh, leaked DMs, I don't care enough to go and look for those. So we're gonna move on. We're moving on. Okay, we're gonna respond to this guy. Remember the guy that did the debate with me? Pseudo trying to change my mind. Whatever you want to call it. We're gonna watch this.
But
he literally talks about me.
trust it wasn't intentional.
Yeah, that's all good.
Like he says, reviewing my debate with Mr. WhyzGuy, which is me. Cool.
First off, what's your main takeaway from the conversation you just had,
Um,
other than disappointment?
I'm not certain. So the problem is, so I do like the TikTok live debates and stuff too.
Yep.
And I was on like kind of a really high kick because I met this dude and we had a conversation about Trump, and he was a Trump supporter, but he was like kind of on the edge. And I know there's like the archetype about like the independent that's not a real independent, it's just a Trump supporter that doesn't want to bite bullets or whatever. But this dude
Says they're essentially all that.
yeah. But I scheduled a debate with him over that same topic, and then he messaged me like 2 days later and said like, hey, I actually don't really disagree with you that much. And then it turned out that he actually didn't end up voting for Trump, and that he joined my server, and now he's like, he's like pretty chill, and we agree on a lot. So like I was kind of riding a high of like having that under my belt, and that was like really nice.
There's no way he's talking about me. Wait, there's no way he's talking about me. Because that's the complete opposite. I mean, but besides the part where we don't necessarily... I mean, I disagree with a lot of the framing that he had, but that's not... What? Yeah, he's definitely not talking about me. Like, I did join his server, but I didn't completely flip my... Like, I did vote for the guy, so like, come on now. What are you talking? He's not talking about me. He's probably talking about someone else.
Conversation the same way that I did with the original guy, and then it just like slowly devolved because
Where's
Trump
Neri?
supporters like
I'll be
for
off
some
for a
reason
bit.
just
All right, cool.
can't grapple with.
I'll be here for a while.
Facts. So I don't know. I'm gonna need a neutralizer to either make me hyper uncharitable or bring me back to center.
Maybe I'm not the best person to go over. Obviously, you can hear as well, I'm a bonger, okay? But I cover this a lot because I find it somewhat entertaining from a non-biased point of view that at the end of the day, none of this affects my life directly.
Sure.
So I can just look into, read whatever needs to be read. You did offer a hell of a lot of charitability, and I might not be the neutralizer you probably want at this particular moment, so I won't go too hard on it. And it's not that I disagree with most of the things that you said. Especially in that original video. I will be releasing a YouTube video of me covering it anyway, so if there's any particular point that you want to go over in the future, then by all means do so.
Sure.
My main contention is the amount of charitability, hoping that there would be an honest conversation in it, because, I mean, as you probably know by this point from the conversations that you had, the TikTok debates that I've seen you go over and whatnot, no one properly wants to engage on the topic, which is massively frustrating. And it's a loop of frustration because there's no way, seemingly, there's no way of breaking that. And I'm not here to give you any answers as to how to do that. I mean, I've done it with maybe 2 or 3 people. One of them is now not a content creator, so I don't want to blow my own trumpet too much, but it is what it is. Sometimes it helps, but if it's someone who's just not willing to engage with what's being said, one example being in the original video that you were going over, I can't remember his name now. I've literally not got the stream open.
The dude
guy
I
that
was
you
just
just had the
talking to,
conversation
right?
with
Yeah, the
was
Mr.
adamant
WhyzGuy.
that the question had been answered. Yeah. Yeah, so WhyzGuy said, how many times do you want him to answer it? She just answered it like 3 times. It's like, if that's the bar of the standards that you require for an answer, I don't think the conversation that you're going to have with them is going to be...
Wait, what did he just say? Like, this video is very low because they mentioned me.
Is like, if that's the bar of the standards that you require for an answer, I don't think the conversation that you're going to have with them is going to be fulfilling.
I'm assuming that he's saying if I need like a specific quote, like I need to hear how the guy said it in the first place and not just hearsay from. I think that's what his criticism is. Yes, that's a high standard, I guess, but like it's a good standard. I would want a high standard of like information to like change my mind, not some low bar thing to like really change my mind. Like I'm not that malleable.
Thought-provoking, none of it. It's just not going to happen. Maybe I'm completely wrong though. 100% tell me if I'm wrong and you were able to take something away from that you can use.
I'm assuming that though because like he's probably in a Discord call and it literally cuts out when he says something.
Answer. I don't think the conversation that you're going to have with them is going to be fulfilling, thought-provoking, none of it. It's just not going to happen. Maybe I'm completely wrong though. 100% tell me if I'm wrong and you were able to take something.
Wait, I have to go back really far.
But it is what it is. Sometimes it helps, but if it's someone who's just not willing to engage with what's being said, one example being in the original video that you were going over, I can't remember his name now. I've literally not got the stream open.
The dude
Wait, he said that I'm not willing to... What point is he talking about that I wasn't willing to engage with? I thought I was engaging with everything that he was saying. And at the end of it, I just had a different interpretation of like the facts that he presented.
Just had a conversation with
the
was
Mr.
adamant
WhyzGuy.
that the question...
I didn't dismiss anything.
Yeah. Yeah, so WhyzGuy said, how many times do you want him to answer it? She just answered it like 3 times. It's like, if that's the bar of the standards that you require
Bro, you see, it just cuts out. Like, come on now.
For an answer, I don't think the conversation that you're going to have with them is going to be fulfilling, thought-provoking, none of it. It's just not going to happen. Maybe
Give me examples. He needs to give me examples.
I'm completely wrong though. 100% tell me if I'm wrong and you were able to take something away from that you can use in future conversations.
So it's okay. So really, what I was trying to do there is that I feel like a lot of smaller content creators, because he's not. I mean, like he's probably
Yeah,
around my
microscopic.
size. It's just that like they don't actually have the time as people to engage with a lot of the legal documents or a lot of like the actual facts of the matter, and they
That
just
is
like, follow
true.
whatever they hear from Fox News pundits or the Daily Wire or whatever. So whenever I have these so whenever I have these conversations, I try and start it out with
Now
a
you guys forgot it. Tim Pool, man. Tim Pool is the man. If you want to be correct, I don't watch Fox News. I don't watch TV. Daily Wire, tiny microscopic a little bit. But Tim Pool is where I get the majority of my my news, because I think he does a pretty good job. Like, you can criticize him for having like for being, I guess, a Trump supporter, but like there's so many different types of people that are considered Trump supporters these days. That criticism isn't really gonna bother me.
baseline, so I'm not hyper aggressive, so it doesn't like pose them against me, and I just try and like say like, okay, well, here's what we know from the legal documents, here's what we know from the indictment, here's what we like know from testimony, and then I gauge their responses directly to me to see where that conversation is going to go. But I also like, it's also half like, whenever, since you're familiar with Destiny, I'm sure you know this talking point, but it's the I'm not actually arguing with the person I'm arguing with. I'm arguing with this person
It's the audience.
for the audience, yeah. So like they can have better talking points going forward. So even if it was gonna be like super hyper uncharitable, that's fine. One, it gives me good content, LOL, and then two, like you know, audience gets talking points, and that's always good.
Okay. Yeah, because I did wonder whether you would bring up specifics when it came to any legal documents or any statements that have been read out, because I fully, okay, this is my bad.
Why the hell is this
I
going
fully
this
believe
way?
that they just have no fucking clue. Sorry, I don't know if
Yeah.
you can swear on our stream or not.
No, you're good.
But, okay, I swear a lot. It's actually awful. I need to
It
tone
happens.
down.
I do too. Trust.
I don't think that... Okay, that's fine. I don't believe that they've read these documents. I don't think they have any... I would almost go as far as to say any understanding of either how they work. They don't know how their own government runs, which is atrocious to me. And they just don't have any insight that can be offered upon any further than, I don't like this content creator for X reason.
All right, so do they talk about me a little bit more? Because it seems like the other guy is kind of just using me as a generalization of like what he's got. So like he's criticizing, I guess, my archetype, but in general. So like this isn't really pointed towards me specifically. So I don't really know if I need to respond to this.
And sometimes there's not even an X reason, and that's probably just as frustrating. Listening to most of what you just spoke over then, it reinforced it in my head as like there's a certain level that you just kind of, I'm not saying you, I'm using you as a generalized sense.
Right.
I feel like you'd have to cut and just be like, you know what, this is now either a meme and I'm going to farm it, or it's not worth the charitability. This is going to turn maybe into a slight shouting match. And it did it a few times. I was there like, okay, this is obviously slightly more entertaining, but I mean, you aren't gaining anything out of this. And at the end of the day, that was the whole point of the conversation.
Well, I'm getting content.
Yeah, it's. Do you find it worrying that sometimes that's where our minds go to? Is that it's like, okay,
Honestly, if he went to if he decided to be completely uncharitable, I think I would have like that would have made it easier for me to make him look kind of unhinged, because like, I mean, it would be content for me too. So I'm not against it, but like I won't look like the guy that's unhinged in the conversation, which that's my goal. That's my end goal. It makes me look a little bit more like normal, and I'm debating a guy that's screaming at me, and I'm like just perfectly calm. But like, so the I don't want to say the aesthetic or the appearance of the whole conversation, I think for me it's favorable if he were to be a little bit more uncharitable, because like when he started calling me names, I quickly pointed it out, like, you know, I could just make the same argument. Like as soon as he started like name calling, I started like hitting back with that, and I'm like, bro, you don't need to do that. And I think I did a pretty good job at like pushing back on that, because like it's just stupid to name call, because like when you name call, basically you're just forfeiting the fact that you can't really, there's nothing else for you to debate, so you just got to call me names. So
this isn't.
You could just watch it. It's on my channel.
Nothing's coming out of this. Your mind isn't being changed. I think it was one of the messages that I put in your chat as well. I can't remember specifically what.
Yeah,
you were
like
going over
ask him what it would take to actually change his mind.
Yeah, there was a bit of info that,
And I
it was
told
over a
him that.
statement. I actually think the statement does exist. I just don't think he was aware that it was a statement that existed, and it wasn't to do with the picks for the Jan 6 committee. I think it was the talking point afterwards. And I could just think of nothing else than like, if this did exist, would it change your mind or your perspective on it? And me in my head, I would, if I were to answer on his behalf as a giant assumption, bearing in mind it is an assumption, he would say no. And it was okay with this whole thing is mute, and it's.
no, I said yes. I did say if this thing existed and I could see the whole transcript, then yes, this would change my mind. This would be enough to be able to like push me in a much closer direction of changing my mind. I did acknowledge that at some point in the debate. That did happen. So he was not listening, obviously. Not this guy, but the other dude that he's talking to.
Pointless.
Yeah, the problem is that, and I sensed this at the beginning, and it was kind of like a sigh moment. But the problem is that whenever I asked him, like, or whenever, I don't know if I asked him or if he just said it. It was like the only thing that could really change my mind on this is Donald Trump coming out and saying I knowingly lied about this.
Explicit, yeah.
It was like,
we.
But also
we don't
later
judge
on,
anything by this.
Not verbatim, but I did at the beginning point that out, because like the only reason why I pointed that out so easily is because like during the beginning of this debate,
So obviously a lot of conservatives that I argue with would call me a deranged Trump hater. But then when I try to get into the weeds on any of these particular factors, they can rehearse. They have like a few rehearsed Trump talking points, and then they just completely and immediately fall apart, and it's very, very, very frustrating to me. So
those few rehearsed talking points, you just can't cut through the little talking points. Is that what you're saying here? Like you can't change your mind because they have a few talking points. Is that it? Is that really like his excuse on why he can't like get through to them or something? Is that really okay? Whatever.
Well, okay, so we can debate January 6th. I don't think it will be very productive because I don't think I think.
Oh, literally, this is the quote I was looking for. Thank you. Okay, all right. So I think I need to go back just a little bit
to a kind of theory of mind and unknowable thing, which is Trump's intention and whether how he intended that day to go down. I really don't think we're going to agree on that. Can I go back to the policy thing?
Yes. Thank you. Oh, yes. Thank you. This is literally my point for the other guy.
I don't think.
Oh, yeah. And Trump engaged in multiple.
Because like she literally says it like 18 minutes within the basically 2 hour. Oh, you can see it. Yeah, basically 2 hour video. Like this is like, come on now. Literally my point.
Right.
Well, okay, so we can debate January 6th. I don't think it will be very productive because I don't think I think at the end of the day, my difference from you will come down to a kind of theory of mind and unknowable thing, which is Trump's intention and whether how he intended that day to go down. I really don't think we're going to agree on that.
Listen to this. Like in normal speed. This is literally the divide right here.
We can debate.
This is why no one can convince anyone of anything, and why Trump supporters and non-Trump supporters live in two different worlds.
I don't think it will be very productive because I don't think I think at the end of the day, my difference from you will come down to a kind of theory of mind and unknowable thing, which is Trump's intention and whether how he intended that day to go down. I really don't think we're going to agree on that. Can I go back to the policy thing though, because I think it's really important.
You can. Yeah, we can go back to that if you want, but it will come back here because I think this is everything.
But yeah, that's literally that was my point on why I'm bringing this up in the first place. So let's go back to this guy. Go back a little bit.
Said it was like
he would say no, and it was okay with this whole thing is mute, and it's pointless.
Yeah, the problem is that, and okay,
so the guy lied, and I already mentioned this, so I'm just gonna keep going.
Sensed this at the beginning, and it was kind of like a sigh moment, but the problem.
You sensed this in the beginning? I literally told you in the beginning. You know what? I'm gonna find my video right now. I'm gonna find my video right now, but I'm gonna do it on the smaller screen because. All right, I found it. And I guess I'll. I don't like listening to myself, but whatever, we'll do it.
Problem is that Hillary Clinton's claims in 2016 had a lot more merit than Donald Trump's did, and Donald Trump, I do believe, was knowingly lying about his election fraud claims in 2020.
All right, well, I don't think we'll agree on this, but I guess I might go down that rabbit hole. Like you think he's been lying. I don't think he's been lying, and I strongly believe that he does not think that he's lying, almost to the point to where I almost don't want to like engage with that type of conversation because I kind of like know where it's gonna go through. But maybe I could be wrong, but like you would have to show me something that like overwhelmingly, like you would actually have to show me Trump literally saying that he was lying for me to be like, okay, all right, well, I guess he was. I literally said it. Thank you. 5 minutes in from the hour thing, bro. What are you talking about? Like you had a notion from the beginning. What do you mean you had a notion? Oh my god. Oh, okay. Where are we? Yeah, there we go.
Towards the beginning.
I got too many tabs open. Too many tabs.
Yeah, because I think I jumped in at about, I think it was like 20 minutes in or something like that, and I was like, I'm just gonna hang in the background and look for a little bit. But yeah, what was the initial reaction to that? I was like, yeah, they can lie, but it's a Fifth Amendment right to lie.
So he tried to break the connection between Giuliani and Trump. So he was like, okay, just because Giuliani said he was knowingly lying, that doesn't mean Trump knew that he was knowingly lying, which is like obviously on its face.
No, I know what he's talking about. Timeline makes. I asked him specifically the Giuliani thing. Like Giuliani got before the January 6th speech, he was espouting something that could have possibly been of disinformation, but it wasn't outright like either Giuliani or another person. One of those people said something that was disinformation, but it wasn't proven as disinformation until after January 6th. So like the only information Trump had at the time was the so-called could be determined disinformation because the lawsuit started before January 6th. So like there was some. Well, the defamation lawsuit started before January 6th, and Trump would know that. But at the same, like, it didn't come out. Like, that's not proven. That wasn't proven at the time. So, like, why would Trump want to use something that could, right now, at the time, an allegation of, like, disinformation, not proven? Why would you put the allegation? Like, it makes sense for him to ignore the allegation at the time. which was later on proven, but like that wasn't like the timeline matters here on whether Trump really believed this or not at the time. I think now he doesn't, but that's a nice little thing he did there.
Giuliani and Trump. So he was like, okay, just because Giuliani said he was knowingly lying, that doesn't mean Trump knew that he was knowingly lying, which is like,
Yeah, that's not how it was played out, but you guys can watch the video.
obviously on its face absurd.
That's a misinterpretation of what actually happened.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm guessing, did you do a small amount of explaining, as in to say, well, doesn't this show the mindset of Trump to then choose the people that he has around him, that he surrounds himself with?
yeah, so the three main points that I brought up to that was that, one, it's not like Giuliani is a stranger, like he was literally leading the re-election campaign. Two is that he was firing all of the people that disagreed with him, so like obviously he's opening himself up to liars because he's firing everybody who says anything contrary to himself.
It's funny, like the thought process, like the framing of this is so annoying. Like he's assuming that they're all liars. Like there's no proof. The timelines matter here. At the time, they weren't known liars. These were all just allegations of them probably being disinformation. And then after January 6th, that's when all these information, all this stuff like lying came out. Like the whole January 6th committee came out in 2022. Like this is, or 2023, 2022, 2023, one of those years. It came out like like a whole year.
Have a happy Christmas by the look of him. Oi.
Yeah, I mean, Trump's inaugurated now, and Trump is president right now, so like, makes sense. So I'm chilling, but like, I don't like how he's misrepresenting what actually happened in the debate. This was 3 weeks ago, so like this was made basically like I think a day later after our debate or conversation, whatever you want to call it. But I've been meaning to respond to this because I saw it and I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to look at it. I'm just going to keep going.
He has the cope.
I don't want to just say that, but I greatly sympathize with that comment.
And then, three, it wasn't just like Giuliani saying that he was knowingly lying about it and that's it. He also had people from the DOJ, people from the DHS, his like attorney generals telling him that this was all bullshit too. So it's not just Giuliani. It's like also the Georgia state legislators, the Georgia state investigators, the attorney general. Like, yeah.
Yeah, the web.
Yeah, but I also said in response to that, he also had a bunch of people that he surrounded himself that was also telling Trump that actually, no, you're right. This is true. Like, remember the Eastman memo, but I guess that doesn't matter because I guess it was just one lawyer and then I guess a couple of other people that he surrounded himself with. Like, it's just a few people, but everyone else, we don't care about the few people that he had around him telling him that basically reinforcing Trump's already belief in the system and having like a legal theory to go through. Like we don't talk about that to why Trump may feel like he thinks that there's a legit case here to be made. Like instead of like being like, oh, Trump is just lying and he's just using these Eastman, like he's just using this theory to stay in power because he's not a multi-billionaire that has lots of money already.
Where's
like,
Harry?
How
could I lose to a man that hid in a basement? They cheated.
Yeah, but like, I mean, that doesn't matter to them. People like these guys, they have a completely different worldview. They start on the basis that Trump's already like an evil guy, and that's where their bases start from, instead of like from a neutral perspective. I would say neutral. In my case, I'm more sympathetic to what Trump had to go through with all these indictments randomly just coming up as soon as he decided to run for 2024. Like, why did all this information start coming out? Like, what if this was such a big deal? Why didn't they brought this up like a couple days after 2021, after January 6th? Like, why didn't they do that? Oh wait, there was something after January 6th, but then like he got impeached, but then he got dismissed because
so true.
Yeah, Trump got impeached after January 6th, but he was dismissed as like, yeah, there was no collusion, there was no insurrection. I think he got impeached for insurrection, right? Was it? Did he get impeached for insurrection? Yes. Oh, okay. But it was ultimately ruled, like I already know the answer to this question. Like it was ultimately ruled that he didn't do that. So there we go. Yes, in 2021, the House of Representatives.
We don't have to care after the pardons.
Yeah, true. Honestly, indictments of insurrection following the January 6th Capitol attack. The House passed an article of impeachment vote to include support from 10 Republicans. The Senate seat trial 57 and 43 in favor of conviction, falling short of the 2/3 majority required to convict, resulting in Trump's acquittal. Yep. Okay, let's finish this because I really want to get to the Dr. K stuff. This was really good.
It spans wide. Okay, I don't want you to read it, get it over and over again, because obviously just little bits that I've missed anyway. But it is
Where's
what it
Neri?
is.
I'll have to catch the full replay. Take care.
Cool. See you later. Thanks for stopping by.
I think you'll have a conversation.
It's always a
which
pleasure.
Hopefully, will be slightly more productive. That's a stretchable word.